of learning about your family nervous system and watching me paint. So, today we're going to talk about um, something called the family nervous system. And I really want to talk about this because of the impact it can have on your family and just your parenting in general. And so, where we start is basically parenting is like if you're dysregulated in your nervous system as a parent, your child's going to pick up on it. Okay, so when your baby is born, they leave stem cells. They like literally leave cells behind inside your body. And so those cells, like you have physical cells of your child left behind, so you're physically linked to them. And that's where we think maybe mother's intuition, things like that come in. But so we're very, very linked. And so when we feel emotion, our children, um, they are very good at picking up on that. And so I'll tell you a story. There was a time when I freshly had three children. Like I had just, my littlest one was a baby. Maybe he was a little older. He was like maybe 6 months or so. He could sit up in the cart. And then my others were like 6 and 3 or something. So like it was a crazy time. So I'm at the grocery store with these three kids, which is insane. I'm only there because like really I have to be there. Um and like everybody's starting to melt down. So like I have a kid throw an egg out of the cart. I have another kid dropping blueberries through the bottom. The baby's starting to get fussy. And I'm standing there and I am about to go into panic mode. And um I don't know what came over me, but I just thought to close my eyes and just steady myself and take a deep breath. And it was like instantaneous. Um, Instantaneously, my kids calmed down. And it was like a shift. So I shifted my nervous system and they felt it and they felt me calm down. And it was enough calm to get myself out of that dang store. Um, and checkout actually. So I held it together just enough. And I think that this is a big piece of like what we're missing, and everybody talks about self-care, but like when mom is not in a good spot, your kids can't be in a good spot. It can be really, really tough. And so that's why, really trying to figure out like, and it doesn't have to be like big things. Like something that has worked for me is like, I really look forward to having my morning by myself. And even if it's just 15 minutes of breathing before I go wake everybody up, really, I have to go wake everybody up because no one gets up on their own in my house. Um, but that 15 minutes I have, like I first say affirmations to myself, like I got this. This is going to be a great day. I try to think about something I'm excited for in the day. And then I will do like a Wim Hof breath work. Sometimes I'll just do like a round. Like one round of that looks like 30 deep inhale exhales and then hold my breath as long as I can. Like one of those sessions takes like, and sometimes I can hold my breath for up to 2 3 minutes. So really it's like 5 minutes at most. Um, and it's really powerful for me. It's really like that is how I start my day. And then I'm feeling centered. Um, so I highly recommend just a small practice, even just for just setting yourself up for the day. So another story I want to share where, I started to kind of figure this stuff out was when my little challenging child, my second born, was really where I started getting into this brain and function work with pediatrics and chiropractic. I started getting into this because of him, because I needed answers. I was really struggling with him. So I was meeting my parents at a restaurant out in the middle of nowhere, Illinois. And we had been traveling. It was a long, long travel, and my kiddo was probably dysregulated, probably because I was also dysregulated. Um, but he was over it. He was about he was 2.5. Yeah, I hadn't had my second or my third yet. Um, and he had already like been waking up in the middle of the night with night terrors. Like we didn't know what was going on with him. But I kind of innately figured out that um when he was having a tantrum, like to calm him down, I would wrap him up in his he had a like a blanket. It was a blue blanket. He just called it blue blanket. That was like his special thing. And we were at this restaurant in the middle of nowhere, Illinois, kind of like there was one little grassy field. I had to take him out of the restaurant because he was flipping out because the food wasn't coming. He was hungry, he was like going into that state of like panic almost. And I innately took him out, took his blue blanket with, and we went out to like the grassy area in front of the restaurant. And it was kind of embarrassing because I know people could see me, and I was really like worried about that back then. And I wrapped him up in his blue blanket, and we put our feet on the grassy ground, and I just held him and tried to, talk to him. And like that holding, like that squeezing, that actually stimulates the vagus nerve, which I didn't know back then, but like I was actually regulating my child just by like squeezing him. And another thing, like later on, I've learned is how powerful just eye contact can be. When you, I mean, I'll do this with my teens all the time. I'll stop them and I'll say, look at me in the eyes here just for 10 seconds when they're, freaking out about something, and they hate it, but like it shifts them. So like the vagal hug or just holding them and squeezing them can shift that. So what I want to kind of like move into, like talking about shifting the nervous system, we can bring this back into birth. And a lot of the time when birth is not progressing, um, then usually there's something going on with the nervous system. We're feeling afraid and we're not allowing for that progression to happen. And what is, I call the birth space like it's like almost like um, a hyper nervous system. Like everything is felt. Every word that is said is so deeply felt. Whether it's like a positive, like, Mama, you got this, or it's like, you need a C-section. Like, the mom feels those words so heavily, um, that, it goes straight into their consciousness. Like, they need to stay in that instinct area of their brain. Um, and so, like, when you're talking to them, like, you're basically planting like seeds for them, like when you're talking to a mom in labor. So if you're saying, positive things to mom and you're keeping her calm, like you're going to have a much, more likelihood that things are going to go right. Um, but like in my last birth, just me saying like the word no or yes, I felt the vibration of it so crazy, like heavy, like it resounded throughout me. It was really incredible. Um, when I transitioned from no, 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 when I was like in a tough space in my birth, and I um, moved to yes, 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 it was like everything was just totally about to be over. It was incredible. So, like the words you say to a laboring woman and the words that she's using are just huge. They can totally affect the nervous system. I also want to talk about like the community nervous system of like the birth room. Like if you have people in your birth room that are feeling things like fear, you like that can totally stall your labor. That can affect you. And I have a great story about this too. With my second home birth, my second baby, um, my mother-in-law wanted to come see, and I, she came to actually pick up my daughter. She was going to take my daughter, and um, I was like, okay. And then I had asked my husband, is she gone yet? And he told me yes. And she actually wasn't. She asked him if she could stay. And it was funny because I could tell by my labor stalling, like it literally stalled for like 20 minutes, um, that I could tell she was still there. And I was like, I had to ask again. I said, is she really gone? And he was like, I'll be right back. And so he had to go and ask her to really leave because my body could feel the presence of that fear. Um, and so, yeah, those are the things I just wanted to talk about, like the power of our intuition, our nervous system, and how we can use it to help calm our children, progress our labor. Like this vagal nerve, autonomic nervous system is such a powerful tool that we can work with, if we're conscious of it, if we know that this is something that's happening in our body instead of like happening to us. Like we have control over our nervous system, like through breathing, through thought reframing. Like these are really powerful ways that we can shift things, our emotions and our beliefs. So yeah, this has just been like my paint and chat Saturday activity. I hope you've enjoyed it. And here's our lovely piece of art that we created. Have a great day.